Good morning all of you, and today in our institute we have a presentation class and all of us are giving our presentation. So my topic is internet, and as we all know that the uses of internet, that in 21st century we can't imagine our work without internet, that we have to manage all the things with the help of internet. So we will get to know that what we can do with the help of internet, what is the advantage, disadvantages. So we are moving forward to our next slides, that is content parts. So we have some content. What is an internet, types and sources of internet, uses, role of www, what is firewall, what is how IP work, what is TCP, browser, how internet work, IoT devices, advantage, disadvantage, evolution of internet, dependency of internet on, and lastly we will conclude. So let me start that. And what is an internet? Basically internet is nothing but it's a vast network that connect all over the computer and Android mobile phone with the help of network, and it connect all over the world within a single network, like and with the help of this we can it is easy to communicate or send files, data transfer, it is very easy, and that is the introduction of internet. So what is the history of internet? Internet comes in the late 60s in ARPANET. It is a US Defense Department that stands for Advanced Research Program Project Agency Network, and in this network the first internet system is known as packet switching. In that packet switching they are used to send files very small. In packet switching we can't send very big files like 1 GB or 2 GB. We can't send. We can only send in KB or MB files, and for the bigger file people will move carry the data and move one place to another place. But in times to come we have now using the high speed internet, that is the evolution of internet. Now we are using that we can easily download the maximum file, that 10 GB 20 GB we can easily download from the internet. So uses, basically uses of internet can't count in our fingers. Like you can see the infinite sign, that we can't count the uses of internet. If we start counting, then our counting will not be completed. So uses, we can't define uses is the means we can count the uses. And then the role of www and what is firewall. Basically internet work on IP address. So every internet service provider give you the IP addresses, so we can easily go through by the help of IP address we can easily visit the websites, but it is very tough to recognize or remember the IP address, like 198.121.11.81, it is something like that, but we can't remember all the IP address. So that www, World Wide Web, is came in front of us, that they are giving the IP address to the name. Like we have to visit Google, then we can easily type www.google.com, then we can easily visit. But suppose we can't type www, then we have to type the IP address of that website. So www help us to remember or help us to reach the website very easily. And so what is firewall? Firewall, basically it is we can say that it is a purifier of the network. Like this is a computer and someone send me a very big files or very big data, but in that data maybe they can send the viruses. Firewall work that they filter all the viruses and send the pure data to you. But and they also, if there is virus come, they will also inform you that this is a virus, and if you want to allow this in your computer you can, because sometimes we need some important data that may be contained in virus, but we have required, so that we have to and that is the work of firewall. It is actually work as a security guard in front of the main door. And how IP or TCP work? IP stand for Internet Protocol and TCP stand for Transmission Control Protocol. IP, basically I say about the IP that every server has their own IP. So, and what is TCP? TCP is basically, it is a we can say that it's a two-sided working process. Like in IP we can search things and download. And with the help of TCP, we can messages. We are using WhatsApp and Facebook. We will send messages, and then on the behalf of message, they will send us. This process, in this process, TCP will work, and this is also a rules and regulation that you can't send the messages which is harmful for the society, or this is beyond your rules and regulation. You can't send the messages. They send you the warning messages for that. And browser we all are know that an application that access to internet, that in the browser, with the help of browser we can only use the internet. So and how many browsers? There are lots of browsers, but commonly we are using Google Chrome, Firefox, Mozilla, and Google Microsoft Edges. And first browser was your Microsoft Edge, which is introduced by Microsoft company, but they are not in forefront because of their interface. And Google is highly increased because of Sundar Pichai sir, that help us to manage or make the interface very easily, so that we can easily search. Because when we are searching for the something, if it's look very tough, then firstly we give up. But if it looks very easy, then we can also proceed on them. So it's a small video clip that is how internet works. So I would like to play this.
Hi all, in today's video we'll talk about the internet and find out how it works. If you thought that the internet works by satellite, find out that you were wrong. So how does the internet work and where does it come from? Before starting this video, don't forget to activate the subtitles and smash the like button. The internet is everywhere but still nowhere. He is on the phone, TV, or computer, but where exactly does he come from? Every time you receive a notification, access a site, or send an email, the data is sent via cables that are found all over the globe and so reach the recipient. The data you want to access on the internet is very far away from you and is stored at companies such as Google, Facebook, or other hosting companies. From here, your data may be transmitted to you via a satellite. But this is useless because the bandwidth of a satellite is very limited and leads to long delays. So what's the solution? Well, find out that data on the internet circulates mostly through fiber optic cables that cross the earth under seas and oceans, among sharks and other strange creatures. The cables are very, very thick to protect the optical fiber inside, which is very fragile and sensitive. These cables are connected to landing stations located on the shores of the oceans, and from there the internet goes to an entire continent, forming a huge network. If we found out where the internet comes from, now let's see how it works. To better understand, let's take a concrete case. Let's say you want to access certain data from the internet on a phone or a laptop that is connected to the internet via cable or Wi-Fi via a router. The data you want to access, for example a video on YouTube, is stored in a data center on an SSD of a server. But how does this data get to you? Any device connected to the internet is identified by a unique group of numbers called the IP address. And the IP address of your phone or laptop, for example, is given by your internet service provider. Also, the server where the data you want to access is stored also has an IP address. So, through the IP, the information has a sender and a recipient. Moreover, if you want to access Google.com, for example, it also has an IP address hidden under a domain name to be easier to use. Because for us humans, it's much easier for us to remember Google.com than to remember numbers like 105.39.4.284. This is where DNS technology comes in, which works like a phone book. Specifically, DNS associates a name for each website.
What is the length of this video?
From here,
Means
the data
2 or 3 minutes.
transmitted to the respective server, and the data transfer to you starts.
Yeah,
The data flows through the fiber optic cable system in the form of light pulses and thus reaches your router. From here, the data is transmitted by the router in the form of electrical signals via internet cable or Wi-Fi. But what if you use the internet through mobile data? Well, the signal is transmitted through the same optical cables to a cell tower, and from here the internet is transmitted to you in the form of electromagnetic waves. In the end, I think it's quite important to know what the internet is and where it comes from, given that we use it daily, and without it our lives would have been much harder in all respects.
Yes, sir. So it is a small clip where we can understand that how internet work. If you are not understand that, I will explain that. It is basically work with the help of our cell phones, and it comes as you said, the fiber cable. We are using internet like whenever we are using any broadband, we need to have connection with the fiber cable that work the broadband, and they will also provide a fiber cable to connect the internet to your computer. But what about the mobile phone? Mobile phone is connected to the internet with the help of wireless data. And now IoT devices, that means Internet of Things. IoT devices is a device which allow you to access all over your home accessories within a single touch. Like as you see in these photos, refrigerator, TV, and vacuum cleaner, PCs, games, and all that are working working with your electronic is all electrical device. So it is help, and if you suppose, let's take an example that we have to go for the dinner in night, but we have in hurry, like we don't have that much of time to, and then we locked up the house and then left. Then in half of the way we remember that the television was still open and the refrigerator was still running. That time, if you want to come back from the way, it is very tough to make decision. That time IoT device will work. You can easily access with your mobile phone. Then it will turn off the all the uses things in your home appliances. So it is, and it's actually basic work in your village area. Like it's work in your sensor types. Like in every in Bihar, there was a scheme of our CM, that Har Ghar Nal Ka Jal, and it was run under run, and in every plant of that scheme have the IoT devices which is controlled by the Bihar government, and it will measure that you are running water, you are means using that water, or you are just means our work is totally wasteless. So this is the main example of IoT device work in agriculture field also, and it is actually work in rural area. So now advantages and disadvantages. What is the advantage and disadvantages of this internet? Internet advantage is a lots of advantages, like information, knowledge and learning, connectivity, communication and sharing in short time, address mapping and contact information, banking, bills and shopping, selling and making money. Internet is a in a one part, internet has lots of advantages we are seeing, but in another part it's also very disadvantages, like addiction, time waster, cause of distraction. It's also bullying, trolls, strikers and stalkers and crime, spam and advertising. It is very means somewhere if something is profit you somewhere, then it will also harm you somewhere. So this is the example advantage and disadvantages of this. What is this? Evolution of internet, how internet evolved, that it is also a video clip, but I will like to explain, and if you want to see then I will play. It is actually in the past time when internet was introduced. That time internet was also work with the help of data cables, fiber cables, but that time they will work with the telephone cable, and that time we can only use either telephone or either internet. If you are using internet and suddenly someone call you in the telephone, that time you will see that the disconnection of the internet. But in evolution they evolve all the things in very short manner, and also they introduced that the wireless system, that how can we easily get internet wirelessly, so that wire is not going to means it's look like very massive. So so they introduced the wireless system. So can I play this video?
The internet works through a massive global network of optical fiber cables. In this animation, you can see how data typically flows between the different levels of internet service providers in the modern internet. The optical fiber cables carry signals in the form of light. However, your laptop or mobile phone processes electrical signals. So how does this conversion of light to electrical signals happen? And more importantly, why is the internet structured the way it is today? Let's talk about the structure of the modern internet. This animation shows different becomes prone to interference from any other electrical power lines or communication lines. In short, it is not a good idea to transfer internet signals in the form of electrical pulses. This is why optical fiber cables replaced coaxial cables after a few years. The light signals have no interference issues. Moreover, you can mix different signals together in an optical fiber cable using WDM technology and separate them out after the transmission, which is why optical fiber cables provide very high data speeds. In a data center, every server has a device called an SFP transceiver that sends and receives optical light signals. This device uses a laser to send light signals through an optical fiber cable. The bulk of the data transfer occurs through the optical fiber cable in the form of light. Before feeding it to your laptop, another device on the user side, called an optical network terminal, converts the light into electrical pulses. The ONT is basically an advanced version of a modem. Let's see how light signals are converted into electrical signals in an ONT. First, a photodetector receives the incoming light signal. When the light falls on the junction of the diode, it generates electrons and holes. The holes are attracted toward the negative side of the battery, and the electrons are attracted toward the positive side. This is how an electric current is produced in the circuit, according to the incoming light signals. The ONT is connected to a router with an Ethernet cable. A router is a networking device that receives, analyzes, and forwards data packets to a device that has the same IP address as the data packet's destination address. The router will be able to understand these electric signals. The connection from the router to the device can be either wired or wireless. Advanced Ethernet cables can transfer data at speeds between 10 to 40 gigabytes per second, but as we know, transferring data through copper wire has an interference issue. Length of the Ethernet cables are limited due to this issue. You can see that the Ethernet cables are well shielded. Moreover, they are twisted pair cables, which can reduce the interference issue to an extent. Advancements in technology have further reduced the use of copper cables. The technology is known as fiber to the home, or FTTH. In FTTH, fiber cables reach your home instead of copper cables. This animation clearly shows how the light to electrical signal conversion happens in FTTH. FTTH service provides 1000 megabytes per second of data transfer speed. We hope that this video has helped you understand the structure of the modern internet. Thank you for watching.
And in this we can easily see that the whoever using here Wi-Fi, we can easily relate that before Wi-Fi they put a small devices in that they can easily convert the internet service in your fiber cable that will connect to that device, and they will provide the internet to the router, and then they will provide the internet through the wireless, or you can use through wire. So now let's move towards the next slide, that is dependency on internet. Nowadays work like 98% of work we are depending on internet, and the people 98%, more than 98% people of the world are using internet, and you can see that and our IT sector is totally dependent on internet, and it will also, so far our India is concerned, it also provide 8% to our GDP. So we can easily see that it is very big achievement of internet that help us to achieve this type of levels. So now I would like to conclude this. So now let's move toward our conclusion parts. In this presentation, we get to know that actually how internet work. Means we see that we are using that turn on the mobile data and we are start using internet. That not seems like very easily, but it is very tough to manage all the things, because internet cable only flow, internet can flow in the fiber cable in a very thin, that was a very thin cable. So if there is any fluctuation, they will disconnect it. So it is and it was very costly, so we can use the internet. That's why our internet fiber cable was very costly, and if there is an area that will not surrounded by the fiber cable, they will not provide actually the Wi-Fi cable. So this is all my conclusion.
Yes, you have mentioned beautifully about advantage and disadvantages part of application of internet. But you know that internet brings digital divide in society also. Because the rural India or rural areas are getting are not getting lot of internet as compared to your urban areas. That's why government are trying their best to provide internet in the most possible ways. even in the remotest part of this country also. So, seeing this situation, do you think financial literacy is important? Financial literacy. And financial literacy can be only achieved with the help of internet. Because fraud can call you and ask you ATM PIN number. And the people residing in the rural areas will give easily as compared to the urban people. Because urban people know about the problems. They know about the facts that it is obviously it is a kind of fraud call. But what about the rural India?
Uh,
And it is totally related to your internet.
yeah, it is true.
Yes.
Basically, people are not aware from the rural area, so it is our responsibility to aware our citizen. Like I am here and I am studying in a urban area, so I have studied and I know the rules and regulations. I know the how they call and how they manipulate the data, and how they used to means convince you. But that's not on me. I will go to the village. Suppose my family will living in the village. Whenever I visit the village, I will talk about this. That it will also make maybe call you for this, and don't share. Actually, we don't need to share our financial means ATM password or PIN to anyone or OTP to anyone with in a single call or in a messages. If someone want our OTP, they can easily visit to us. Then we will send us. And for this, government can also run a plan like yesterday, yes, our CM visited and they have a meeting with the Anganwadi teachers, and actually they told them to means aware the citizen about the Dahej Pratha, and and this way also we can easily aware the people from the online fraud. And if people aware from the online fraud, they can easily get through this. And we are the common people. If you say that this is wrong, they will not understand. But if a prime minister, if a chief minister will say that this is wrong, they will easily understand.
Okay, that's why government of India has brought many reforms, many changes. Like we can send money with the help of our Aadhaar card number,
Yeah.
without the internet. So it is a one of the kind through which we can promote.
Because Aadhaar card need the biometric, so because of biometric you need to present.
So yes, you have mentioned about the Internet of Things.
Yeah,
Correct?
IoT devices.
IoT is going to change the society in times to come, no doubt about it. Yes, driverless car is also part of your
IoT device.
IoT. So you tell me about two disadvantages part of IoT.
Suppose we take an example like an IoT device is filled on your agriculture field, and you start the pump, motor pump, and then water will flow to the. But if there is a, because IoT devices have certain rules and regulations, like if you run the plant within 8 to 10, they have a certain means they have fixed the timing. Like I can change the timing. The one who is monitoring the IoT devices, they can change the timing of the IoT device. But if suppose in this home we are using the submersible pump, and I will set the time of 8 to 10 a.m. and before 8 if you start the pump, they will not recognize. And after it, if you will start the pump, they will not recognize. IoT device will not get you the information. So this is the major problem of this. And we can also know that if the sensor will work properly, we can get the data properly.
That means you have to feed the data, you have to set the data.
Yeah, we have to set the timing. That means we can suppose in our city, people will wake up in the 5 a.m. and a single alarm will, like in Begusara in powerhouse, they will in 7 a.m. they will turn on the horn of the tower, and that is the main timing. Whenever we are, if we listen that horn, then we will know that we have 7 a.m.
Fine. So cyber attack is also one of the biggest problems so far internet penetration is concerned.
Yeah.
So how to reduce the cyber crime? Because we have witnessing the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and we know that in 1 week or 2 weeks we may get to know about the cyber attacks from the Russia to the Ukraine or other parts of the world also. So how to balance this unbalanced thing.
Basically, cyber attack is not in our hand because everyone is not aware of the hackers, that how they will manipulate the data, how will they will get the data. So may our government will work on this, that whoever the attackers maybe from from other countries can harm our data, can steal our data. So we can easily, means government can plan a program that if someone, if some IP address or something like that going to is going to take place in from the other country, they must get some time, and in that time government will know that what is this happening. Suppose it is from the US department, they are means they need some data from us in our Indian department, they can send the data. And if they are harming us, then they can, if they get some time, that means 1 or 2 minutes, they will also because 1 or 2 minutes is enough for the hackers to steal your data, and 1 or 2 minutes is also enough for the protector who is here.
Correct. We should build the ecosystem of data saver, like a data hacker, counter of data hacker. We should employ such kind of talented people, and we have to build such ecosystem.
Like people must aware about this.
Okay, very good. Clap for him. Excellent.